Hello everyone. Did you know that you have certain rights as an employee in the workplace which you're not aware of? In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about those legal rights that you're entitled to as an employee, and you need to know them. Some of these rights are plain and some of them they are a bit technical. One of those rights I want to talk to you about is your right to fair salary and benefits. I'm also going to be talking to you about what constitutes workplace discrimination and how you can report it. If there's discrimination against you at work, how can you report it? I'm going to talk about it here. The next thing I'm going to talk about is understanding your rights if you are wrongly terminated as an employee. If you are wrongly terminated as an employee, what do you need to do? So let's dive into what we're talking about. If you have any comments, you can drop it below, or you have any questions at the end of this video, you can drop your questions, or you can message me and I will be willing and ready to help you. So do you know that you have a right to minimum wage? Minimum salary in the workplace, exactly the one that is set by government. As an employee, whether you're working in a company or in government, the minimum wage is the standard which the government has put in place for every employee to be paid. So wherever you're working, the minimum standard is the minimum wage for you. That's the minimum. But there's also a maximum depending on the organization. So you have a right to minimum wage as set by government. You also have a right to overtime. You have the right to overtime payment. Once you're working beyond the normal working hours that is set out by your organization or by the government, anything outside that is overtime. You are expected to be paid by your employer. You also have the right to equal payment for equal work. Some employees are underpaid based on the work they do, or in the course of work, there's a discrimination against same people doing the same work, but some are paid more than others. That is a discrimination. And you have a right for equal work and equal pay. So you have the same salary if you're doing the same work. I said you have rights and benefits. So benefits that you have as an employee include the benefits of health insurance. Every employee is entitled to have a health insurance. Every employee is also entitled to have a retirement benefit. You are entitled to a retirement benefit depending on what your organization says and when you came in, but it has to be in line with what government is saying. You also have a right as an employee to paid leave. You also have a right to vacation leave. If you're going on a vacation, you also have the benefit of having paid for that. Maternity leave is also one of the benefits that you need to enjoy as an employee. You also have the benefit of enjoying public holidays as an employee. Even unpaid leave, you have the benefit of enjoying that. Then the second point I want to talk about is the right to non-discrimination as an employee. You have a right to non-discrimination, that you are not supposed to be discriminated against based on several factors that I'm going to be saying here. You cannot be discriminated based on gender or race or religion or disability or other characteristics. That is to say that you cannot be discriminated against when it comes to salary payment. They pay you different as a woman, or they pay you different as a man, or based on disability, or based on race and ethnicity or religion. That is wrong. You also have a right to transparent pay practices. Your salary and every entitlement for the month, you need to have it in writing. You need to have it clearly written somewhere so that you will know. You also have a right to timely payment. Delayed salaries are wrong. They are a violation of the rights. So, and non-payment, some organizations, some employees, you find out that they are owed salaries. It is wrong. You have a right to written employment letter. Your employment letter has to be in writing. You have the right to equal benefits or for part-time work and full-time work. If there are benefits that accrue to it, you have the right to enjoy all those benefits. So these are practical advices for you as an employee. Number one, you need to know these rights because ignorance of the law is not an excuse. You also need to ensure that your employment letter states out your salary, your time of work, how you address issues. If there are issues that arise as a result of work or something, what are the channels of communication? Very, very important. You need also, I expected as an employee to have an employee handbook. How does the employee needs to go about his duties? The employer needs to give you that. And if you don't have that, you're already at work, you ask your head of human resources to make that available to you because it is very, very important. So the next thing I'm going to be sharing here is what constitutes workplace discrimination and unfair or unequal treatment of employees. Sometimes employees find themselves in this workplace discrimination, maybe on the basis of ethnicity or race. It is wrong. That is called workplace discrimination. If you're suffering on the basis of ethnicity or race, or if you're struggling based on gender or sex, you're being discriminated against because of your gender. You're discriminated against based on your age. Many organizations do that. Maybe you're too young or you're too old. It is wrong. You're discriminated against based on disability. It's very important that you know all these things. Or based on religion or state of origin. Some discriminations are as a result of pregnancy. Maybe the woman is pregnant. She begins to suffer discrimination. Or marital status or family status. The family is too large, it is too small, and the rest of it. All those ones are discrimination, constitute discrimination in workplaces. Other discrimination in workplaces also are sexual harassment. Sexual harassment. Some employees are sexually harassed at work. That is a discrimination at workplace, which you have a legal right to kick against. Also, retaliation. Some discrimination at workplaces arise as a result of retaliation. They want to do the person. So if you're discriminated against at workplace, what are you supposed to do? You need to document this discrimination. You have to have records of the dates. Sometimes you also have documents to support, or you have people who can support also your case. You need to have witnesses. You need to also review the company policies. What does the company policy say about workplace discrimination? How are you supposed to go about it? You also need to speak to your HR or your manager who is ahead of you, your immediate boss. Speak to the person. This is what is happening. They can help you address that. You also need to file an internal complaint if you have gone through all these stages and things do not work out. You also file a formal internal complaint. Or you can contact a government agency, you can contact an agency, you contact a lawyer who will help you to, sort these issues out. They can advise you on what to do. The last legal right that I want to talk about on this video is understanding wrongful termination. Many employees are wrongfully terminated and they don't understand what even wrongful termination means. So this occurs when employees are either terminated or constructively dismissed from their job as a result of violation of something. And what they have done, what the employer has done, is a violation of the law. Their documents, which is the employee handbook, is saying a different thing, and what the employer has done is a different thing. So that is a violation of the law, or that is a termination against their own law, or against any of the laws that are set to protect employees. It is important for you to understand these rights if you believe you have been wrongfully terminated. What is wrongful termination in the first place? It is when an employee is terminated in violation of the law. That means they terminate your work or your job. They say you cannot work. Some give it a letter, some use verbal words. It depends on how you came in, and it depends on the kind of your employment. And we're going to talk about this in subsequent videos. But this wrongful termination constitutes several things. They are a breach of contract. Because remember, when you came in to work, there is a contract you entered into with your employer. Another point is that it's a discrimination against you. And we just talked about discrimination in workplaces. The next point is it is a violation of public policy. That is why when you say it's wrongful termination. When it is a violation of a public policy, we're going to discuss this also in subsequent videos. When what your employer has done is a constructive dismissal, that is, he has created a hostile environment for you to work and imposing it on you or with unreasonable conditions, it is called constructive dismissal. And he has forced you to do that, or you quit. Sometimes you see employers doing that. So how do you deal with this? For you to deal with this, you have to understand your employment contract. What are the terms of contract? That is why it's important to have your contract in writing. When you come in as an employee, you need to have your contract in writing, stating out all the things that are required, the time, your salary, and all those things. Very important. You can reach out to anybody that can help you with that understanding further. If you still don't understand, ask us questions. We're ready to also advise you on that. You need to check for discriminatory termination. What does their document say about discriminatory terminations? Very important. What if it is a retaliation? What they are doing is a retaliation. For example, the employee acted as a whistleblower, and as a result of that, they are terminating his appointment. What is he supposed to do? Very, very important. You need to check that also in their document. What does it say? You are also expected to gather evidence. Keep all the records and communications, whether they are emails or write-ups, keep them intact, because you may not know when you will need them, especially in terms of termination. When your employment is terminated, you will need to know all those things. Then you will file a complaint with the National Human Rights Commission, depending on which one is easier for you. Or you approach a legal practitioner who is versed in employment matters. They will be able to help you deal with that. Remedies that are available to you if you have been wrongfully terminated or constructively dismissed. You have a right of reinstatement. You can ask that you be reinstated, or you can ask that you receive compensation, or you can ask for punitive damages as a former employee. Because once you have been terminated, you now become a former employee. You're no longer an employee. And then you can also ask for legal fees. Sometimes in the course of doing this, you engage the services of a lawyer to maybe write letters, and then maybe at the preliminary stages the matter is resolved. So you will ask for legal fees. So these are some of the remedies that you are entitled to when your employment is wrongfully terminated as an employee. So like I said, these are some of the things that you need to do. You need to review your employment contract. What does your letter of employment say? Don't just rush into employment because you've been employed. You need to get a letter. And if you're already employed, ask your HR for your letter of employment. It is very, very important. Then document the reasons for your termination. I've said that earlier. Demand a written request of explanation for your termination. You need to demand for a written explanation. So you need to also consider filing a complaint. That is after seeking legal advice. Very, very important. I'm going to be reaching here to you with different kinds of videos that will help you to understand your position, either in workplace or several other areas. So like I said, you can drop your comments below and ask questions if you have questions and further things you want me to clarify. So thank you so much for being on this video, and have a great day. Bye.